KHOU 11 News at 10 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Len Cannon, reporting from home as we continue to join so many of you practicing social distancing as we try and slow the spread of this coronavirus.
And I'm Mia Gradney. We are standing with you during these uncertain times. Here's what we're covering tonight. We are getting a closer look at plans to build a field hospital at NRG Park, including when it will be ready and what it will be used for. Some of the nursing home patients who have COVID-19 in Texas City are undergoing an experimental treatment, what their relatives are telling us. And evictions are supposed to be on hold for now, but some renters are getting notices to vacate. We're getting to the bottom of it. And now a look at the latest numbers for Houston and the surrounding counties. There are more than 2,800 positive cases so far, but lots of counties are reporting several recoveries. More than 230 people in Houston and Harris County, 26 people in Montgomery County, and 63 people have recovered in Galveston County.
Houston saw its number jump by more than 400 today, but that's because they're finally getting caught up on a backlog of tests from mid-March. But city officials say this month is a critical time for everyone to do their part to slow the pandemic. That includes recommending everyone wear a mask when you leave the house, but don't let a mask give you a false sense of security.
The mask that you wear does not mean that it's okay to gather in large groups, because the mask that you wear does not protect you. It protects the person next to you in case you are one of those people who is infected and unknowingly infected and spreading the virus. So to that point, the issue of social distancing remains just as important as it always has.
Also, Mayor Turner says our local hospitals are well within their capacity to handle the load. But just in case, Harris County is starting to build a medical shelter at NRG Park. It will serve as a field hospital, but only as a last resort. Matt Doherty tonight taking a closer look.
Today, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo gave the instruction.
Start building a last resort medical shelter now.
The judge says she hopes it's something we'll never have to use.
Is to be used as a last resort. We hope that we don't get to a point where we need to use it. That would mean that our hospitals have used up their capacity, have used up their surge capacity, and now we'll have to use the capacity we're building at NRG.
The field hospital will be able to house 750 beds in the first round of construction, more if they're needed after that. Trucks and trailers could be seen at the site today. The construction will continue throughout the week. At the same time, cleanup is happening at NRG after what was left behind following the abrupt end of the rodeo. Each Houston area hospital has its own plan for overflow should there be a surge. But if those beds become filled, patients could be brought here to the field hospital.
Well, the idea is to have it ready to go so we don't waste a single second were we to need this resource.
I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
And new data suggests Texas's COVID-19 peak may come sooner than first thought. But one infectious disease expert says you should not count on it since numbers change on a daily basis. Let's take a look. This is the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation's website, which shows the national peak occurring on April 15th. If you select Texas on the database, you can see that it shows the peak here happening 4 days later on the 19th. Now, that's earlier than what many officials suggested last week when they said we'd peak during the first week of May.
Well, there's nothing that we've seen now about the new modeling data that's come in to make us think we should do anything differently than the current plan. So the current plan for Houston is to aggressive social distancing until April 30th and then a reevaluation.
When we talk about the peak, we're talking about the maximum usage of resources like ICU beds and ventilators. So it is crucial we all continue to stay home, practice social distancing, and excellent hygiene.
An nursing home in Galveston County is using an experimental treatment for elderly residents there who contracted COVID-19. Marcelo Benito has the story tonight from Texas City.
She's 90 blessed years.
Her name is Dorothy Cunningham.
That's my granny.
And this is how Alicia Mason has to see her granny, through a window after she was diagnosed with COVID-19 inside the resort nursing home in Texas City.
Once we found out life stopped, I felt like I was kicked in the stomach
83 people, both patients and employees, have COVID-19 in that facility. The governor announced 30 patients are undergoing experimental treatment of hydroxychloroquine.
They are, for the most part, in their second day of this testing regimen that will last several more days.
Dorothy is one of the 30. Her family anxious and uncertain about what that drug will do.
I definitely don't want my grandmother or any other person being a guinea pig to something that could potentially, 50-50 chance cure them.
Hydroxychloroquine, a drug used to treat malaria and lupus, is at the center of national debate.
I've seen things that I sort of like, so what do I know? I'm not a doctor.
There have been cases that show there may be an effect, and there are others to show there's no effect. So I think in terms of science, I don't think we could definitively say it works.
Back in Texas City, Alicia and her family praying this unproven drug keeps Granny and 29 others alive.
If she 100% gets past this, they test her again within the next 10 days and it comes back negative, woohoo, we're going to be happy with that.
Now, we did try reaching out to the nursing home's medical director to ask about their decision to try this drug on their patients, but our calls were not returned. We do expect an update from Governor Abbott about how it's all working later this week. Back to you.
We're hoping for the very best with that. Thank you, Marcelino. Houston ISD resumed its food distribution program today, which is a huge help for families that rely on the district's free breakfast and lunches. The district came up with a new process it calls more streamlined with better safety measures. Each location will give out 500 boxes of food a day. To see the list of tomorrow's distribution sites, along with what time they open, head on over to KHOU.com.
If you can't pay rent, you will not be evicted during these tough times. That's according to the state of Texas. So why are some people still getting notices to vacate? Grace White is getting answers.
It's been an adjustment for sure.
When Erica Lang lost her job as a waitress because of the coronavirus outbreak, she lost the ability to pay rent.
To get the notice today, it's a little bit scary. To think that the possibility of having to move out.
Lang found this notice on her apartment door. On one page, it said her landlord was waiving late fees, but on the next, there was a notice to vacate by April 15th.
I was confused. Are they evicting? Are they not evicting?
The Texas Supreme Court put a stop on all evictions until the end of April. But John Boriak, the president-elect of the Houston Apartment Association, says the paperwork is still in motion.
That still means you could get notice of if you're behind in your rent, but your trial won't happen until the end of April.
And I think that's where the confusion comes in, because people think, okay, I won't be evicted, but then why did I get a notice?
Right. So that really what that needs to be seen as is when you get a notice, it's your apartment community reaching out saying, hey, we haven't heard from you. Your rent is due.
Lang's tried to do the best she can, putting $600 down towards her monthly rent of around $900.
I want to make sure that we're protected and that I guess other people going through the same thing are protected and that they know that they are going to have a home to come home to at the end of the day.
We called Lang's landlord. She says she wants to work with each tenant, and these evictions, she confirms, won't be enforced, at least through the end of the month. It's just paperwork, she said, they have to do. Back to you.
President Trump is offering well wishes to British Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Meanwhile, there is new concern tonight about supplies at U.S. hospitals. The president's response to a new federal watchdog report tops your 90-second nightcap.
A troubling newly released report from the Department of Health and Human Services Inspector General found hospitals are dealing with widespread issues, including shortages of testing supplies, personal protective equipment, and other critical items such as IV poles, toilet paper, and linens, according to a survey conducted in late March.
It's wrong. Give me the name of the Inspector General. Could politics be entered into that?
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is now in intensive care. He was hospitalized last night for some routine tests, but doctors say his symptoms dramatically worsened today. The news came as a surprise because just hours earlier, Johnson tweeted that he was in good spirits.
Allstate announced it is giving back $600 million to its auto insurance customers during the pandemic, since fewer drivers on the road mean fewer accidents. Customers will receive a credit for 15% of their monthly premiums in April and May.